Hello everyone and welcome to Environment Design 3, IDC208A. This is week 10 of our explorations together and we are nearly at the very end of our trimester of learning. So well done for getting to this point. This week we are taking a look at where spatial design is going to move to in the future. We take a look at interaction design and the parallels between interaction design and architecture in an effort to understand how we can move forward into the future to better create places that augment and support the behaviour of the people who use them and also drive change through creating new forms of interaction and engagement. So not a terribly long lecture this week, because obviously you should be well busy working on your final piece of assessment. Next week we will be reviewing all of the elements and requirements that are needed for submission in week 12. So next week will just be a review lecture of all of the learned frameworks and tools, just to make sure that you are all across everything that you need to submit and that your concept is as thorough as possible. So this week we are looking at interaction design. What is interaction design? We look at some parallels between interaction design and architecture. We talk briefly about why convergence of these two worlds is critical moving into the future of spatial design as a whole. And then there's just a little bit at the end where we mention envisaging the future. And there's a lot of extra content that's been provided for you this week, as the lecture is relatively short, and that content is predominantly in the form of web links and also videos that talk about how to create interactive architecture and interactive environments. So please make sure that as part of your coursework this week, you do get across all of that extra content because obviously there's not an awfully big lecture here this week. It's just quick touch points on what you need to be gauging and gaining out of the content this week. So first of all, what is interaction design? Interaction design is a design discipline that's devoted predominantly to creating relationships between people, tools, and environments. If we think about it in a more complex way, it's all about using interaction design to help us to understand environments better. And obviously interaction design happens largely in the digital realm, but it borrows from all sorts of disciplines like product design, industrial design, graphic design, interface and web design, as well as various elements of cognitive psychology, human interaction, computer science and so forth. So there's lots and lots of disciplines that interaction design actually draws from in order to gain this holistic understanding of how humans and systems interact to create a relationship and to achieve a set objective. So there's a lot that we can learn from interaction design in the world of architecture and the built environment. One of the things that certainly ties these two worlds together is the fact that in interaction design, it is never the same things in two places. So the way that an interactive system behaves for one particular application or on one particular device will always be different to how it behaves on another. And this is definitely also the case in the world of architecture. So much like interaction design, architecture and the larger discipline of built environment design is one that has constructed itself of a vast professional knowledge and understanding that we draw from many fields. And as you know, we have in this unit explored behavioral psychology, and we've explored creative thinking, we've explored business and marketing, we've explored the built environment, we've explored manufacturing technologies and so forth. So this exploration in this unit has been heavily centered around harnessing knowledge from lots and lots of different fields and arenas in order to hone our expertise as built environment and experience creators. So where interaction is predominantly concerned with understanding and optimizing user experience at the intersection of the physical and digital world, architecture is predominantly concerned with optimizing the experience at the intersection of the natural and the constructed world. Okay, so a lot of the same principles are applicable in both those disciplines, and essentially where the convergence happens is often where the most interesting projects tend to take place. So both of these disciplines really seek to create an authentic yet streamlined experience for the users that engage with them interactively and in a highly connected way. And what the goal of architecture and built environment design is definitely shifting strongly towards, which is also the goal of interaction design, is that we're seeking to create spaces that augment and drive behaviour of the users and ultimately shift cultural perspectives and cultural behaviour by manipulating the way in which the environment behaves or works or is used. So whether that be in a digital environment between the user and the digital interface relationship, or in a physical environment between the user and a built environment relationship, both disciplines are essentially seeking to drive behavioural change and augment behavioural habits by improving the way in which consumers and people interact in general. So the rapid development of the Internet of Things technologies is propelling us towards a world where an ever-increasing amount of our experiences are mediated by digital interactivity. And certainly as we progress each year with more and more technological advances and capabilities hitting the market, this has never been more true. So as this trend continues to rise, the task of designing a built environment will be as much about designing the interactive experiences that happen within that space as it will be about the traditions of form, program, materiality, and function, as we have historically always, built our spaces on. So the fields of interaction design and architecture are really destined to become one and the same, because the way that consumers are behaving increasingly today is at this convergence point of the digital realm and the physical realm. And there are some great resources that I've provided you with this week. One talk in particular, which talks about the fact that consumers are often existing in both realms at the same time. So while they are experiencing the physical built environment, they often have half their brain present in the digital realm, constantly thinking about how they can share their experience or communicate their physical experience to the digital online community. So it's a really interesting resource, to be sure you check out all those resources to give you a really nice holistic understanding of how that intersection of interaction and built environment is moving the development of spaces into the future. So as this change continues to sort of happen, we will need to work across increasing amounts of disciplines, but increasingly in our understanding of user psychology and user interaction with systems, alongside our understanding of how built form is structured and how it works, in order to cultivate a new set of skills that really augments the user experience in physical space, assisted by the interaction of digital space at the same time. So both fields are essentially independently moving towards the same objective, and that is to eventually create spaces or things that sense and respond to people in different ways. The building is now no longer just a static thing that has no awareness about what's going on inside it. It is a more dynamic system that reconfigures itself based on what people inside it are doing. And I really want you to be very aware of this as you now move into the final phase of your project. So hopefully you have strategically worked alongside myself and the rest of your classmates, completing each and every one of those tasks, because it really has been a staged approach to get you to this point. And at this point now, as you look to refine and deliver that final project, you should be thinking about how you can push your project proposal and push your brand into the future, and in terms of how it might actually change and develop and seek to engage its consumers on a new level moving forward. So this week, as we near the end of our journey, it's time for us to reflect on what the future of the built environment and our role as spatial designers might actually look like. And as always, there's a bunch of visual projects featured within our slides, so be sure to check out these projects as well as augmentation to your learning. So I've given you a number of really exciting resources this week under your read and explore sections. So make sure that you engage with those and explore them, learn from them, and really drive your thinking and understanding on this topic so that your project will be shifted into that sort of next realm of engagement and interaction. Remember that what I'm asking you to do is to think about your brand and its consumer experience and what it will look like in 5, 10, 20, even 50 years from now. I'm not hugely interested in seeing a store layout as it exists today. I would like you to really think about how the consumer experience is shifting very quickly. And again, in this week's resources, how the implication of interaction design is certainly very influenced into the world of architecture and built environment design, so that we can really begin to move the retail experience into a new and exciting realm that sits on, the front edge of the future, rather than simply delivering the norms, because that is going to be where our industry is going to be shifting to, and where cutting edge designers are going to really be come worth something amazing. So make sure you work through your resources and discuss them on this week's forum. So I'm asking you this week to talk about your understanding of how spatial experience is being redefined. So once you have worked your way through all of the readings, what I would like you to do is to create a concept board that lays out how you can further seek to augment the experience within your retail space. Be sure to check back to lecture 11, where I define the different visualization techniques and elements. Make sure that you know what a concept board is supposed to represent, okay? And once you've done that, I'd like you to post that on the forum, accompanied by an explanation of how you seek to use those elements to bring your store into the future. Next week marks our final week of studies together, and that's our week prior to submissions. So next week we will review all of the tools and frameworks that I've covered in this course, so that you have a thorough understanding of what is required for your submission. So we are almost there. It's been really great sharing this journey with you, and I hope that you have enjoyed it as much as I have, and that you have learnt an exceptional amount of skills that you can take with you into the rest of your studies, and certainly into your career as a designer. That's all I've got to share with you this week, other than your extra resources, as I said, which is located under your learning resources, read and explore. So be sure to familiarise yourself with those, read the readings. They're really, really interesting this week, and certainly the videos and extra web links that I've provided for you are also very engaging and useful for your project. So what I'm really looking for in this project submission are the designers who have pushed the envelope, who have really embraced the content and the frameworks and the tools that have been taught in this unit, and really strive to create spaces for their brand experiences that are unlike anything that are currently seen in the marketplace. Okay, so keep that in mind as you're working towards your final solution. And I will see you in the Collaborate session this week. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing your responses on the forums, and we'll touch base again in week 11.